That time I employed the Worcester Sheriff to bring the Worcester Police to court. This is really old, but I got reminded about it from reading another story here. Years ago I got a speeding ticket in Worcester, MA. It was a typical speed trap where they sit at the bottom of a steep hill, knowing that lots of people will exceed the very low speed limit because gravity. It was bullshit, so I decided to fight it and at least make them work for their $100 fine. I read everything I could on fighting radar tickets, and one strategy was to check whether the police department had proper FCC documents on the radar used. If they don't, the radar info is inadmissible, and you probably win your case. I went to the Worcester Police station and found the records department down in the basement. I showed them the ticket and explained that I wanted to view the paperwork for the radar that was used to record my speed. I had to wait a couple minutes, but some official came out and sternly informed me that civilians don't have access to that information. Few malicious compliance. Asked a few people how you request records for a court case, and it turns out that, at least in Massachusetts, that's one of the things the sheriff's office does. So I went to them, paid them $50, I know, on a $100 ticket, but I've always enjoyed tilting at windows, and described the documents I required. Have to admit that by the time I had to go to court, I had kind of forgotten about the sheriff's department, but I did notice this police officer sitting in the audience section with all the other people fighting tickets. This guy wasn't your typical police officer, though. He was wearing a very fancy uniform, and his hat had all kinds of gold braid on it. He did not look happy. Traffic court being traffic court, it's all kinds of disorganized with a bunch of citizens sitting around waiting for things to start, and of course the proceedings plod along at a snail's pace. Finally my name is called after about a half hour, and this police officer comes over to me and explains that he is the captain or lieutenant, I forget now, in charge of the entire records division for the Worcester Police, and he has the radar records in his hand for me to examine. So I look it over and it seems to all be in order, so I thank him. He's visibly angry about having to spend his morning sitting in traffic court over a $100 citation. Totally worth the $50. To this day, I don't know whether someone at the sheriff's department was just messing with the police department by naming the top guy in the records request, but I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. Don't want to let the citizens see your records are fine. I would have loved to have been there when the sheriff's department showed up to serve the head guy with a court order. BTW lost the case.
Malicious compliance in the deli, and a Karen slapdown is a bonus. I just witnessed the most beautiful piece of malicious compliance at my local supermarket. It has a deli counter where you take a paper ticket and wait your turn. There's a digital display that shows the next number. But when it's quiet, the staff often just serve the next person without advancing the number of the display, and it gets out of whack. Today was one such day. I pulled ticket number 87, and the display said 29. There were two people ahead of me at the counter. Some guy who was apparently 85 and what turned out to be a Karen at number 86. While deli girl is helping man number 85, Karen launches into a tirade about the display being on 29, yelling at the young girl behind the counter that she was lazy and causing confusion. I just rolled my eyes and threw a look of understanding sympathy to the girl behind the counter as she finished up with guy number 85. What happened next was priceless. Karen sees number 85 leave and launches into her order. Deli girl cuts her off with a saccharine sweet smile and says, "One moment, please, ma'am," picks up the clicker for the display and clicks it over and over again until it reaches 86. It took quite a while. Needless to say, Karen was pissed. She glared at the girl behind the counter the whole time, while I stood there with a huge grin on my face. And the best part, she couldn't even criticize, because she was the one going off about it being wrong. After finishing Karen's order, deli girl tried to apologize to me for the delay. I told her she'd absolutely made my day. It's not often you see service staff being able to deliver a customer service slapdown. But when you do, it's glorious to watch.
All of my employees wear white shirts. This is from the 80s. I was the East Coast expert on a big mainframe company network gear. I was associated with the manufacturing plant, but I did customer site visits to help field engineering either install or more often fix installations that were not working. At customer visits, it was suit and tie. As I often worked in computer rooms, I never wore white shirts because of the dirt issue. Plus TBH, they make me look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow guy. Normal was an up-and-down striped button-down shirt in a blue, pale green, etc. Fly to Boston to work with a sales droid on configuration of a system they were trying to sell to a big bank. Sales droid says minor change. First we need to go to this mandatory sales droid meeting headed up by the regional VP of sales. Fine. Get there, sea of white shirts, ties, and me in my colored shirt. Sit in 5th row, room has about 50 to 60 droids. Regional VP gets on stage, doing his best to excite the troops to go out and sell million speech, clapping and cheering, etc. Mid-sentence he sees me and stops. "Hey you, where is your white shirt?" Look around, figure he may be talking to me, so I point to myself. "Hey you in the blue shirt. All of my stuff. Everyone that works for me wears a white shirt." "Okay, good to know, thanks." "Thanks, get out, and don't come back until you are wearing a white shirt." "You want me to go and not come back unless I'm wearing a white shirt?" "Yes, get out now." So I get up, walk to the aisle, turn and go, "Hey, do you know who I am?" "No, I don't effing know who you are, and I don't effing care. Out." "Super. Then for the rest of you, I'm Kilted Turtle, the East Coast expert in networking product out of plant name, and I work for the director of engineering there. So I don't work for him, and it's unlikely that I'll be back since I don't own a white shirt." Left, flew home. Frantic voicemails from the sales droid about his customer. Next day, dropped into Director of Engineering's office to give a trip report. He starts, "So Kilted Turtle, you were a big hit at the sales meeting. VP of Sales called to apologize and wants you to come back." "Nope, not going to happen. He comes here wearing a colored shirt and apologizes to me. I'll consider it." "He's not going to do that." "Fine, not traveling to that region. I'll talk to people on the phone. I can do my job that way just fine," and walked out. Called my sales droid and said we'd work on the phone, not coming back up. Droid not happy, but understood. Week later, reception calls that I have a guest. Due to lobby, and there is my director and the regional VP of sales wearing a blue shirt. Best apology ever. Edited to add, you Strider fighter asked why it was such a fast apology. So in the 80s, network stuff was crazy expensive. The networking part of the deal was worth $1+ million. Tying customers' existing mainframes, fast host-to-host connections were new and a big deal, and some new mainframes together, so all in all for $5 million. And it wasn't going fly without some help. So commissions for sales droid, manager, upper manager, and VP of sales. So a ton of money on the table for them. We got the deal, and I got a surprise bonus. But I still had to go to Boston. Edited to add, wow, this got huge overnight. Thanks for all the awards and the points, and especially thanks for all the great comments.
Company called me average, so I became average. So this isn't malicious compliance in the exact sense of the word, but pretty much the same effect. At 26M, started my first job after college 3.5 years ago. I was hired with a group of 25 people. I used to run a lot of clubs in college, and had this I need to finish my job as best I possibly can attitude when I first joined. I was good at what I did and put in considerably more work than other people who joined with me. Another huge motivation behind this was that since the initial pay wasn't good enough, I wanted to impress with my work and get a really good raise at the end of the year. So throughout the year, I kept working late hours, stayed at the office for 10+ hours on a regular. The way our work dynamic was, I was the only one under my manager, and we were both supposed to share the work on the projects. And slowly and steadily my manager started noticing I'm taking up extra stuff, and he started offloading his work onto me too. Now I was essentially doing my own job and half of his job as well, and had reduced the time it took to do those things by at least 40%. I was stressed and overworked, but was getting exceptional weekly ratings, so I felt it was worth it. How naive I was. Appraisal time came and I went into the one-on-one with my manager. This guy tells me that while I have one of the best performance ratings in the company, they're not allowed to give Fesher a huge raise, and I received the same raise that others who joined with me did by doing the bare minimum. I was pissed. I told my manager that since the company has declared me average, that he should expect average performance from now on. He laughed at their thinking I was kidding. I wasn't. Next to damn wards, every task that would be done into hours now needs 8. Won't stay in the office for more than the agreed upon 8.5 hours. Won't finish up lunch quickly to get some more work done. Won't do any of your job for you. Though the client is asking for this document that I prepared in an hour. Sorry, an average person wouldn't do it in less than 4. So I'm going to keep it with me while I take the next 3 hours to figure out how to update the table of contents. It takes P clicks BTW. There's something you need to ask after work hours. Sorry, it'll have to wait till tomorrow. Complaints started coming in quick about the delays in deliverables. Manager started spending a lot of time frustrated because he wasn't very good to begin with, and now I wasn't taking up his workload. I spent the entire year working 2 hours a day while I spent the rest of the time listening to music, browsing Reddit and watching him struggle. At the end of the year for a job that paid 3 times the salary. Some details of our projects get published online, and last I checked this guy was running 7 to 8 months behind on some of the projects, and from what I heard from some of my friends in the company, didn't get any raise last year.
Check out my other marvelous videos.